Have you ever looked at someone, really successful, someone who seems to have it all figured out, and just wondered what's really driving them? Like beyond the public stuff, the titles, what's the actual human story there?
That's exactly the question we're digging into today. We're talking about Anas Bukhash. He's an Emirati entrepreneur, yes, but maybe more known now for his show, #AB Talks.
Right. #AV Talks.
And his whole mission, he says it himself, is discovering the human behind the title. It's all about getting real, basically. A proper deep dive into connection.
Okay, yeah, let's explore that. So for this deep dive, we've got quite a mix of sources, haven't we? Interviews with Anas, articles about his work, his whole philosophy.
And even audience reactions, like what people actually thought about certain episodes.
Right, so the mission here is to really get under the skin of what makes him and his show, well, different. How he challenges norms, especially in the region, and, the kind of impact his approach has had, which seems pretty big globally even.
Absolutely. And Anas's story, it really kicks off in his formative years. Growing up in Dubai, he talks a lot about watching the city just explode,
Yeah.
going from sand to skyscrapers, as he puts it. And he says that experience, it kind of instilled this belief in him that thoughts can literally become reality if you push hard enough.
That's a powerful way to start. I mean, growing up seeing that kind of massive change right in front of you.
You must leave a mark, right?
Yeah. Do you think that's specific to Dubai, that kind of manifestation idea? Or is it more of a general entrepreneurial thing that just got supercharged by the environment?
That's a really good question. I think, Dubai obviously provides this incredibly vivid example, doesn't it? You literally see the transformation.
Can't miss it.
Right. But I suspect it also taps into something fundamental for any visionary anywhere, that ability to see what could be, even when it seems impossible, and then just grind towards it. But yeah, Dubai's scale must have made it feel very, very real for him.
And influences. He talks a lot about his mother, Hala Kazim.
The life coach.
Right. Describes her as extremely open-minded and non-judgmental. You can see how that would shape his own approach, can't you? That confidence, that non-judgmental stance he takes.
Definitely. They seem to have a really strong bond. He even interviewed her on the show, which says a lot.
Yeah. And then his father, he got the organizational skills from him. That, and apparently a real dislike for being ignored, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah, a unique detail. But before all the business stuff, there was football. Big passion.
With Captain Majid.
Exactly. Influenced by cartoons. Ended up playing semi-pro in Boston. He often says football taught him some core stuff. Teamwork, obviously. But also giving 100%. Always.
And hating laziness.
That, too. Seems like those lessons stuck more than just, how to play the game.
For sure. And then came the phase of typical corporate jobs, he calls them. Oil and gas, property development.
Philanthropy, too.
Right.
Yeah.
But he hit that point, didn't he?
Yep.
Where he just thought, this is not me. That seems crucial. Finding out what you don't want.
Totally. And that apparently fueled this relentless why questioning, like really interrogating what he should be doing, which eventually led him to start his first company, a Duff Sports Club.
Makes sense, linking back to the football passion.
Yeah, and that really shows his entrepreneurial DNA, right? He calls himself a serial entrepreneur. He's not content just building one thing. Once it's up and running, sustainable, he's thinking about the next creation.
So beyond #Gaby Talks, there's Bukhash Brothers,
Yeah.
the digital marketing agency.
Yep. He calls that the mothership. Says it basically funded the other ventures.
Okay, and then Chalk, the hair salon.
Unisex salon, yeah. And not so guilty, the food and beverage concept. Quite a mix.
It really is a fascinating path. Realizing what doesn't fit, asking those why questions, it really makes you think about your own life, doesn't it? Like, what are your why questions? And what have you learned, maybe surprisingly, from figuring out what you don't like?
And building right on that self-discovery, that's where #AB Talks comes from. It was born directly out of his frustration with traditional media.
He really wasn't happy with it, was he?
Not at all. He found TV interviews too rigid, too superficial, and often way too short, like 7 minutes sometimes.
7 minutes, that's nothing.
Exactly. He tells this story about interviewing the late Egyptian comedian Samir Ghanem. Huge figure, wealth of knowledge.
And he felt it was all just being compressed, wasted.
Precisely. He found it limiting, lacking realness. He actually said, it's ridiculous. He's a wealth of information and history, and he wasn't well, so it was a privilege to have him there. He was thinking, how much knowledge is sitting next to me, and I can't even listen to it.
Wow. You could see how that would really push someone to create something different, a real catalyst moment.
Totally. So, driven by that, he launched hashtag AB Talks. Some sources say 2016, others 2018. But the point was, it was designed to be the opposite of everything he didn't like about the media he'd experienced.
And that slogan, discovering the human behind the title. It says it all, really.
It does humanize the famous people, but also kind of elevate everyday people just by letting them share their full story, making them the stars.
And it worked. I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering. #1 show of its kind in the Middle East and North Africa.
Over 1 million YouTube subscribers, 1 billion impressions.
14 million hours watched.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix now. That's huge reach.
It really is. And what's key is how he does it. That signature approach. Starting with that question.
How are you really doing?
Yeah. Not just how are you, but really doing. It's deliberate. It's meant to cut through the usual polite stuff and get to something genuine right off the bat.
Sets the tone immediately.
And then there's the listening. He puts a massive emphasis on it. Apparently he got feedback early on that he interrupted too much.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he says he really worked on becoming a best listener after that. He prepares like crazy, uses mind maps and stuff.
But no notes during the actual interview.
Right. Avoids notes so he can stay completely focused, locked in with the guest.
That takes discipline. And you see that in his demeanor too, right? Very calm, objective, almost clinical sometimes.
Yeah, he compares it to being like a doctor or a psychologist, compartmentalizing his own feelings to hold the space for the guest. It's not about him.
It really makes you think about listening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How often do we just ask that surface question? And what happens if you just add that one word, really? Could change the whole conversation.
Definitely. And another huge part of hashtag AB Talks, especially thinking about the region, is that it doesn't shy away from tough subjects, taboo topics.
Right. Things that maybe aren't discussed as openly, usually.
Exactly. Things like masculinity, challenging the idea that men showing emotion, like crying, is weakness. Feminism, mental health, divorce, family pressures around marriage.
Heavy stuff, but important stuff.
Absolutely. The goal seems to be sparking those conversations, encouraging debate, getting people to think differently, out-of-the-box thinking, as he calls it.
And underlying all that is his belief that fundamentally everybody has a story, everyone wants to be seen, and everyone wants to be heard.
And that connects directly to the impact on the audience, making people feel not alone. He shares examples, like from his Untold Stories segments.
Like the woman who learned the name for her condition, vaginismus, just from the show.
Yeah, and found huge relief in that. Or guests talking openly about depression. Hearing those stories, it makes others realize they're not isolated in their own struggles.
It creates a sense of shared experience.
Totally. He actually says he thinks it's selfish not to share your story if it could potentially help someone else feel less alone.
That's a strong stance.
Yeah.
And the range of people he talks to is incredible, too. It's not just regional figures.
No, it's global. Bill Gates, Zlatan, Ronaldinho, Jay Shetty, Shaq, Deepak Chopra, the list goes on.
But also big names from the Arab world, like Atif Aslam, Bassem Youssef.
Yeah, he really seems to be aiming for, as he put it, the most diverse human show in the world. It's about the stories, not just the geography.
But it's not always smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
Even for him, the Twice interview seems like a good example of the challenges.
Oh yeah, that definitely stirred up some discussion. The feedback was really mixed. Some fans felt it was rushed, maybe underwhelming.
And some criticism landed on Anis himself, like being unprepared or his style not fitting K-pop idols.
There was some of that, yeah. But it sounds like there were other factors at play, too. It might have been arranged very last minute. Questions might have been restricted by their management company. And there was a language barrier issue initially, apparently lack of translations ready.
So a lot of potential constraints.
Exactly. And to be fair, there were positive comments, too. People praising some members' English and some feeling it was actually a deeper conversation than the group usually gets.
It's a good reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even someone highly skilled faces things outside their control. Audience expectations, logistics. Communication is just complex.
It really is. Shifting gears a bit, let's talk about Dubai again, its role in his whole journey.
Yeah, he has a specific take on it. He talks about its youthfulness.
Right, a country younger than our fathers and mothers. He sees that as a huge plus for entrepreneurs, a chance to be a pioneer, to really make a mark, maybe more than in older established places like London or New York.
He basically calls it the new land of dreams, potentially taking over from the U.S. in that sense.
Which is a bold statement. He also acknowledges that being a content capital cuts both ways.
How so?
Well, you get information pollution, just a lot of noise, but you also get what he calls direct journalism. Creators with integrity can just speak directly to audiences. No traditional gatekeepers.
Which means for us as listeners or viewers, we have more choice, but maybe also need to be more discerning about sources.
Exactly. And when it comes to his own brand, his own success, he seems very clear on his principles.
Like always be authentic.
And pretty bluntly, don't fake shit on social media.
Huh.
Refreshing.
It is. And his formula for success, he breaks it down pretty simply. Find something you're interested in that you also have a skill for.
Interest plus skill set. Right. And then multiply that by time, which means practice, consistency, just putting in the work over the long haul.
So it's not just passion, not just talent, but the intersection of the two, applied relentlessly.
Exactly. He strongly believes if you are passionate about it and you are actually good at it, there's only one way that this ends. Basically, success is inevitable with that combo and persistence.
It kind of pushes back against that overnight success myth, doesn't it?
Totally. He talks about cooking things slow but well in business, not chasing trends, focusing on quality, consistency. Those are more important than being the cheapest.
And competition.
He welcomes it, says competition is good, it keeps you on edge.
Makes sense. He also talks quite a bit about fear, right, as a barrier.
Yeah, a major one, especially when you're chasing dreams. His advice is actually quite straightforward.
What is it?
Just do the thing you're afraid of. The more you do it, the less power the fear has. He even suggests just admitting you're scared, like telling an audience, because people usually respond with empathy, support.
That's actually really practical.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging it can take away some of its sting.
Seems to be his philosophy. It sort of demystifies fear, makes it manageable.
It's a good challenge for all of us, maybe. Thinking about what fears might be holding us back and how just starting, even small, could make a difference.
Definitely. And looking at his broader life philosophy, his wisdom, time management is huge for him.
He calls time the most expensive currency.
Yeah, and he's a big calendar person, believes in designing your life so everything gets its proper share: family, health, work, giving everything its portion.
And health is non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable. He says, if you're sick, all of this stops. You're useless. It's the foundation for everything else.
You can see his personal growth, too, even in how he talks about difficult things like his divorce. He frames it quite positively, focusing on civility, especially for the kids.
Right. And that idea about rejection.
That it's about incompatibility, not your inherent worth.
Exactly. Rejection has nothing to do with your worth, but everything to do with your incompatibility. That's a really empowering reframe, isn't it? Though I suppose one should be careful not to always dismiss feedback as just incompatibility. Yeah. Sometimes there's room for growth, too.
It's true. It's a balance.
Yeah.
But generally a healthier way to look at it.
Definitely. And beyond his own life, his bigger mission seems to be about mindsets. His life motto is elevate mindsets.
And his inspiration comes from within.
Yeah, me challenging myself, he says. And he has this real hope for Arab voices, for people in the region to believe you're enough, to shake off any insecurity compared to the West.
Recognizing that shared humanity.
Precisely. He mentions growing up with this idea that, Hollywood and the Western world is much better than ours. Their talents are better. But then slowly seeing examples like Mohammed Salah.
Arabs succeeding on a global stage.
Exactly. Showing it's possible. It challenges that old narrative.
He also seems very focused on the present and future, not dwelling on the past.
Right. He said, I don't like to go back into the past because if I did, I would alter my present. Very forward-looking. And always hungry for more.
Never satisfied.
Doesn't sound like it. Always needs a goal. What's the point of living if there's no goal? That seems to be his driving force. Constant evolution.
And social media, despite his pitfalls, he still sees it as a connector.
Yeah, making the world a small village, enabling storytelling. But he also has this interesting observation.
The elevator thing.
Yeah. Watching people automatically reach for their phones in elevators, he sees it as a sign we need more discipline, maybe, to just be present. To enjoy the documentary of life happening around us.
That's a really vivid image and a powerful challenge for all of us, right? In this super distracted world, how can you, the listener, maybe play a part in elevating mindsets, even just by being more present, connecting with the actual human behind the title in your own life?
It all comes back to that, doesn't it? Anas Bukhash's whole journey, football, business, #AB Talks, it seems driven by this consistent, purposeful approach. Challenging norms, yes, but fundamentally trying to connect with that authentic human experience.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to chew on. If Annis is right, if rejection has nothing to do with your worth but everything to do with your incompatibility, how could changing your perspective on past failures or rejections maybe open up new possibilities? What parts of your own story, maybe things you thought were irrelevant, could actually be your biggest strengths right now?